we made a mistake of wanting to analyze super in-depth things, right? And Volleymetrics, like, yeah, you can analyze a lot in very in-depth, and there's a time and place for that. But reality that the best use cases for Volleymetrics in my mind are the following. Imagine let's say an 18-year-old player, either on a pro team starting his young career or on a college team in the US or wherever in the world, having access to volumetrics and being able to go and look at Osmani Guantarena or Bednush, or being able to go look at Kaczynski from years ago and from today, or on the women's side to be able to go look at a Jordan Larson, or to look at a Lobianco, the setter for the Italian national team, or just being able to look at good volleyball and really understand what good looks like for an athlete. That is unbelievable, because hopefully it matches what the coach is trying to teach in the gym, hopefully. And it just motivates them. It gives them a benchmark, and it gives them somebody to look up to. Oftentimes you see players, young players, that they're trying to get better just with the people on the other side of the net in their little league. But if you go in football or in basketball, they're like, I want to be LeBron James, or I want to be Messi. And in volleyball, it happens, but on a much smaller scale. So I think that is one thing, is like having athletes gain access to that content and being able to really develop a love for the game and an understanding of what good looks like is very big. And I've seen it over and over with many athletes. There's some players that sometimes I'm talking with and they're like, oh my gosh, I watch at least one match a day, one full match a day of high level pro volleyball. They tell, oh, these days I'm looking at Trento because they're playing with three passers, with three outside hitters. And that was not possible when we were young, right? Like, no way. But the same is true for the coaches. And we talked a little bit about it. Just being able to do that, it's huge just to grow as a coach, right? Back in the days, you will hear, oh, this player is just a beast on the left side, even if he's whatever, right? And being able to go study a player, or, oh, this is the best passer in the world. Okay, let me go look at him or look at her and see why. And when does she start tracking the ball? How does she make her moves early? All these things. And there are many ways, many different techniques, but seeing and studying just gives you such a much better approach. Like, you study, now you study and you learn. And then the third piece, and we barely touched on it, is recruiting players, like building your team and sporting directors, right? So for sporting directors to be able to go and search for talent and understand what fits within the playing style of of their own team, if they have a playing style, a playing philosophy, and being able to, with the coach, get quick feedback on one player and another. Also, when these players are young, these are all things that can professionalize the game over time. I've seen that. Not that volumetrics is the only reason for it, but I've seen these over and over in many countries, in many teams, in many organizations, and I truly believe it. So even just these three simple use cases are really big. Then naturally, the next step is just, I think, the creating a good feedback loop, right? We can train athletes 3, 4 hours a day. Nowadays, I feel like both coaches and athletes, in some cases, they want to train less and less because injuries and this and that, whatever. And it makes sense. We understand the science better, and maybe there's a reason behind why we shouldn't train as long or as hard, whatever. But there's so much time outside of the time that we spend in practice in the gym that can be used, and for coaches to be able to communicate with the athletes more actively and provide feedback. It impacts the game and the organization you may be working for in so many ways, because you are investing in talent that is owned, let's say, by your club, and therefore it's going to gain value. It's going to help your team when it matters and you need some help. That player is going to be already. You're establishing a mindset of growth, a growth mindset, and you're empowering, enabling people to really feel committed to a common goal of growth and improvement. So Volleymetrics helps that feedback loop a lot by being able to comment and give feedback to athletes. And so these things, you see, they're not related to stats or analysis. Well, yes, to analysis, but they're not tied to stats and numbers at all. So then there's all that world. But to me, those are the biggest use cases, starting pieces to go with. Then, as you are at a more professional level where you have time and space to really go in depth on numbers, there's all sort of things that can be done there. But a lot of people are surprised by how much I really focus on the subjective side of the analysis. So on the technical execution of skills and all that versus just the statistical analysis period.